Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this very topical session today with two distinguished panelists. One is the Managing Director and CEO of BANDHAN Bank, Mr. Chandra Sekhar Ghosh, who needs no introduction, and Mr. Abhishek Rungta, who is the MD and CEO of Indus Net Technologies. Uh, in fact, we are having this session at a time when we are actually on the cusp of lockdown and unlocking. So things are getting reopened now. Uh, Although there is the negative sentiments are still around us, but we're trying to move on from negativity to positivity and looking at the opportunities which may come our ways in the days to come. The topic for today's discussion is very important, which is digital transformation in BFSI sector, emerging digital transformation. Mr. Ghosh, as you all know, is the MD of Bandhan Bank, who has turned one of the largest microfinance institute in the country, Bandhan Microfinance, into one of the most vibrant bank, if I may say so, in today's context. It's growing leaps and bounds every day. And Mr. Rungta, who is another distinguished panelist, is also with us. He is an entrepreneur in his own right. Abhishek is also a digital strategy consultant, software architect, who founded Indus Net Technologies in 1997, still in his teens. It is a fully bootstrapped venture. From one person, it has grown into a family of over 750 full-time professionals who work from India, UK, US, Singapore, and Australia. His expertise across technology and marketing gives him the unique ability to synergize systems with business, ensuring a high success rate uh, of innovation and change management initiatives. So, without wasting any time, I'll get into the topic directly. So, I'll start off with basically introductory remarks from both Mr. Ghosh, Chandrasekhar as well as Abhishek. So, I'll start with Chandrasekhar. Will first question, which is the with the mushrooming growth of uh, smartphones and other smart devices, this digital transformation in banking and financial services sector is no longer just an option. It's basically obvious, inevitable. So, but in your case, you have moved from an organization which was basically driven and guided by human relationship. So now doing away with this human relationship and human interface and getting into this digitally transformed banking system, what would be your take? Like, how do you see this transformation taking place in India?
Uh, Thank you, Ritwik. Thank you, Abhishek, and thank you to all of you for getting the time to join this interaction session. And you are very correctly addressed on that. There is no chance now we can be go back to traditional system. It will be not permitted by consumer. It is also not permitting by regulator. That is both the side we are tied up. The regulator cannot be like to permit us. Uh, you can go to again traditional banking on that, and customer also not on that. So this is the first point on that. But this is the right time to discussing the COVID have been also pushed us to come to this. The habituate of this digital transaction point of view. If you see that it is an fourth industrial revolution in the world. So fundamentally, we are automatically transforming ourselves from traditional system to digital system. And of course, the banking system also is a very strong part of this. If you recall on that, the anyhow, uh, if it is an Amphan in West Bengal, in the flood in Odisha or Kerala or Assam, That time also people use more in a UPI as a consumer, and also can donate the people some money to the some institution or some of the beneficiaries who are affected. That time also it is a very important role play in the digital transaction for the country, for the customer, for the people. It is who are the giver, who are taker, both have been that opportunities on that. And people are more or less using in that way. And we are keep in mind on that, it must be simpler. It not be a complex, it should be a faster, it should be a safer. So all transaction depend on these three things. If the very complex, the people will not like it. If it is a long time taken, people will not like it. If it is unsafe, the money will be like to fraud, so people will not like it. So bank are always like to keep the mind on that. Our financial industries like to always keep in mind on that. How this type of use of this UPI or digital transaction, it must be a simple, it must be a faster, it must be a safer. So that can be helped to the people on that. Another big example in our country, what we saw in that, the demonetization time. Demonetization was the single most important event in the history of India, the digital payments. And that time people understand better that how digital is important of the life. And many of the things that people are not know that the digital, they also use the digital on that. So this is the very big things. If it is come on the next, another, the what I say that the government have been taken the initiative, and that initiative also helped to make the digital economy. We know that the GEM means the Janadhan Yojana and Aadhaar and mobile phone. These are three combination. And Harvard Business School said about it, it is a name is a trinity. And everyone in the world have been recognized as the Indian digital payment system have been strengthened by GEM, by demonetization, and now it has been more strengthened by COVID. So we are more of this type of one event has come, and we are more habituated with this transaction, and the banking industry or financial industry cannot go back. If we go see that the 99% Indian adults enrolled in Aadhaar and 350 million Janadhan accounts opened through in it. That means Aadhaar used to open the account. It is a very big number. It's called that the 350 million Janadhan accounts opened with use of Aadhaar. So that is another way the pushed digital transaction, digital payment like on that. Earlier we see that this type of transaction happened only the metro, but now we see that tier 3, tier 4 city also people are using. And this is now not in a consolidated on the rich people and the urban metro. It is also going to the rural and going to the poor people, middle class. They are also started the using on that. McKinsey study suggests us on that 560 million Indian subscribed to the internet in the year 2018, and they says that the 40% will be increased between 750 to 800 million by 2020, and COVID have been helped on that to more push on this, and which we are already see that. So what types of things is happening? More people using of the transformation or digital, internet banking, card payment, wallet payment, UPI, QR payment. These are the something are using people. If you go to the rural, if you see that there's a grocery shop, there's a kirana shop, they are also using in this type of transaction methodology. And actually, it has been helped more as a financial inclusion, which is need for our country. And of course, the open the bank account without paper and very hassle-free and faster. That is also another way on that. No, now newly has come. If you see that the KYC, the KYC in the banking industry is a big name. There's a very big fear also. No, I will be like to if it is anyone is like to open the account, there is a not enough. There is a need to go to the house and see that house, and then we'll be like to confirm it that yes, KYC is there, so that you can open the account. Now coming to this, the video KYC. So customer will open the mobile in their home and connect with that the bank system, and automatically KYC finish. So digital KYC is not now coming on that. That is also helping more to open easy account, open transaction, that is a transaction easily can be done. And of course, every of the financial institution and regulator very big concern about the security. So that the cyber security issue is there in the industry, but every time the advised by the regulator and the some of the forum also, they are continuously knocking to the industry, can do this way, that thing, and automatically their customers' money will be saved. And bank will be provided the financial transaction to the customer. They can be like to make it in a very good way. And India has a witness of 6.2 billion transactions in mobile banking. And total online banking users are going to reach by 150 million by 2020. So people are also started the using on that, the more transaction with the mobile on that. But till now, it is a very different from other the Western country. People are more small transaction done by the mobile, and big transaction they are going to the bank. But if you go to the other of the Western country, they are big done by the internet, that is and electronically. Small they are coming to withdraw the money from ATM, coming to the bank. So we are little bit opposite. So we will like to also going to that move in the couple of years we will on that. And I think that this is a good number of improvement happen in the country. We have the two types of the people. The bigger number of people, they are not very much get the comfort to go the digital transaction. And gradually, they are also motivating and they are coming to when this type of situation they are facing. So I feel that the future of the digitization is a very big opportunity for banking, and the people also coming forward. I can give you a couple of things you can keep in mind on that. What is coming on that? That is one is a very big thing that people talking about AI, intelligence is coming on that to the financial industry. How this channel can be used for digital payment, all the things, and education to the customer, and the sales process on that, and the personal customization, personal services to the customer. That is coming on that. If you see that the earlier we have been seeing that the big of the physical server, now it is coming to the cloud-based server. So that is also new. The technology is coming to transform, to help to the digital transaction. And you know that the blockchain is coming, and the already people used on that cryptocurrency marketing, how it can be digitally possible, and regulator will be like to accept on that. Biometric is coming on that, so it's not needed to the signature, and biometric now is come to the eye, the stress on that. And finally, I say that there is a big market is coming on that and used the every institution for digital transaction and payment is called the big data analysis. So every organization, they have the separate setup for big data analysis, and accordingly they are finding out that the how they marketing to the product, how they reach to the customer, and what is the customer demand, how they can be like to fulfill the demand on that. So we hope that we can be without food can sleep, but we cannot sleep without WhatsApp open. We cannot sleep without the Facebook. No, we are totally depend on that, all the electronics things. And that electronics help us also now in the financial industry. Don't worry about it. No need to go to the pay the fees of the telephone to fee the of the electricity bill. So I can give in from my mobile phone immediately finish. So a lot of things are happening on that, and the people also gradually using it. And different incident has come to the country in India. It can be also engaged to the all the people to use of this type of transaction. It has been very much helpful for the consumer point of view and for the banking industry point of view, and also it will be help to reduce the cost, and the people's capacity also will be increased more, and this type of service will go to the more in a rural interior rural, and the people will be get the banking and financial service, which is all the motto is their financial inclusion will be improved day by day on that. Thank you to all of you.
Thank you, Chandrasekhar. Your introductory remarks actually give rise to a number of questions. I will, for the time being, I will refrain myself from that and move on to Abhishek ji, who has seen the world, who has operations across many countries in the world. So, I would like to ask you, what has been your experience? I mean, globally, how is this digital transformation taking place, and where does India stand vis-a-vis other countries? Mr. Ghosh mentioned something about Western countries. If you could throw some light on that. And if I remember correctly, when COVID-19 broke out and lockdown just started, uh, almost on a daily basis, I was seeing RBI governor coming on television in form of an advertisement, promoting and advertising for digital wallet, card, usage of cards, etc., etc. So digital transformation, does it only mean this digital wallet usage of card, or it's much more broad based, and we need to look at those aspects as well,
Sure.
Abhishek?
Sure. So, I think there is a perception in people's mind that the Western countries are far ahead of India in terms of digitization. But when it comes to digital banking and how money moves in the digital channel, I think the developing economies have picked up quite a lot, and they are doing some very very innovative thing. In fact, if you look at the African countries, right, they don't have strong banking system in many parts, and they actually use M-Pesa, which is a mobile-based payment service to do most of the transactions. People who have not even heard or used bank ever in their life, they manage their entire money on their mobile apps, right? So I think developing economies will be very resilient in adapting to this. They may not adapt the same way the Western economies have adapted. So I was just having a nice chat with Mr. Ghosh before our session, and he said, due to Amphan, the people who are on the coastal belt, they are very used to it, right? So they know how to adapt to it. They know that a bad storm will come and they have to recover from it. So they have taken the precautionary steps, and they also know how to go and take the government aid after that, right? And this is exactly the situation of Indian consumers, right? And the people in the city, right? For them, it was a big, big change. And this is exactly how the Western countries react when new innovation happens on digital innovation, especially on the payment side right now. So if you see, they were ahead of us long time back, where they had the credit cards and they have continuously innovated on that front. So you can see most of their digital payments actually happen through credit card channels, right? Or then they went online. But in India, if you see, most of these digital payments are getting on mobile, right? and gradually it will grow more and more, and people will have such, and the mobile applications are becoming so simple to use that people can simply touch and go in their payments, right? People can just make $10, 10 rupees, 20 rupees, 50 rupees, 100 rupees payment, which is not even heard of in the Western countries, right? So I think India, the lack of availability of knowledge of the formal banking channel may be a challenge here. Like a lot of people may not know what a formal banking channel is, how to use it, how I can access it. That may be a small challenge for the adoption, but again, that is being complemented by the payments bank and a lot of interesting innovation that is happening in the banking channel, like companies like Paytm, UPI, what they have done, and I'm sure banks are also stepping up the game, right? They are bringing in micro payments in different ways. All these organizations are also adopting to the vernacular interfaces now. If you see, the interfaces are becoming simpler and simpler, and it is adhering to what the Indians will be more comfortable using, right? And it is also connecting them to all the tools that the Indian people need. So if they need mobile recharge, that if you will see in most of these interfaces, the mobile recharge is right there. So it is enabling them to do transaction that is required in the market, right? So they are doing all the transaction that is required by them on a day-to-day basis. And I think this trend will continue. It will be driven by the transaction rather than the interface or the mode of payment. So I see an increase in mobile payments. As I said, a mobile POS. I think a mobile POS will be almost everywhere. People using their mobile phone itself will be able to make transactions from their customers. Micro credit, micro deposit, and eventually a proper credit rating system for the bottom of the pyramid. I mean, that is my long-term visualization of what the society might look like with the kind of innovation that's happening in Indian banking channels.
This is exactly where Mr. Ghosh has been trying to tap this bottom of the pyramid. Or Mr. Ghosh, your focus all along been to cater to the requirements of the unbanked population, underbanked population, be it microfinance or be it your bank, Bandhan Bank. So, do you think that this digital transformation would be able to, do away with this digital divide or the urban rural gap, or would unbanked or underbanked population, they would also be receptive and adaptive to this new technology, digital transformation? What has been your experience so far?
So, experience on that, the thing now, people are not looking as a professionally or as a business, what I say, that is the vehicle. People use it in a very much irregular basis, and for very much what I say, that they are not given the that much impact in the field level. And there is a cause also. What we saw that the bottom of the pyramid people are fully, they are depend on their business, and business is a livelihood business. So when that livelihood business, give the example, when you see that in the morning, the some person has come in this time with a van rickshaw and selling the vegetables. So no customer are paid to him as a price, as a wallet or mobile banking, not the digital transaction. They are given the cash, and these people use this cash and coming to deposit to the any of the account of their account, and they must be physically come, or our staff maybe go to him to collect that money. So that is a challenge until the consumer, that means the vegetable buyer, if they are not offered that can you take my payment as in digital, this is so that it will be not coming on that much usable as a business model. Second point, if you see that the count, the all of the us who are even the rich people, how many of people we are paid our maid servant salary by their account? No, we are giving the cash. Until it will not come, so that matter that the maid servant also not paid their money from the account to the customer or some other thing purchase on that. If you go to the driver of our, we are not paid the driver as a check or as a transaction as a mobile. and to their account, and they cannot be like to go. So that is a cash use as a large way happening, and the small things they are purchasing with a cash. So who are small sailors like the bottom of the pyramid who are running the business, they are always a cash rich. And when they are coming to wholesale market, if the Mundi, or if you see that the Calcutta, as in Boro Bazar, they are coming, and they have need to come with a cash. If they say that no, I will be like to pay by no my digital account to your account, nobody like to take on that. So until they are not coming with that habituated to use their day to day, no everything purchase have been coming on this, then it will be like to very helpful on that. Till now it is not happening because of these are the some limitation is there. Because if you go to this, the purchase the Mac one of the laptop, yes you can pay. But if you like to purchase a there is a ground level, no field level, or tier 2 3 level, as anything you like to purchase, if you offer on that, many of them they are like to not like to say that no I have not. They have, but they are not interested to take on that. So it's a need to build up the mindset of the ground level people more. They will use it. Then it will be more effective for this, the bottom of the pyramid people also will be happily do this transaction. And we are trying on that. We are trying our best on that, how they can be used more. But we are failure on that. Until they are not give the cash money deposit to the account, they cannot transact in my installment from their account. And that time you know that it is not needed to their transaction. Their account, if with me or any bank, automatically installment has come through the ECS. So it is not a need in his transaction is needed on that. No. So only need on that how they can be deposit their cash money to their account. If their account, automatically account will be deducted, installment, automatically loan is going to their account. We are giving loan their account, but they immediately withdraw all the cash. So this is a habit on that.
I will go to Abhishek ji on this topic. Can, or is it all in the mind that people want that look and feel of the currency, the note, or taka as we may call it, or has the technology failed, in reaching out to that bottom of the pyramid segment? I mean, has technology got some role to play in reaching out to that segment where it has, failed to reach out so far?
So I think technology, in terms of reach, has reached to most of the people. I think these same people you see watching movies or watching serial on their mobile phones or listening to music on their mobile phones, or even at times having video chat. I think it's a matter. There are two aspects to it. I think one is the intent, that why should I do it, and I should do it, right? And if there is no benefit, why should I do it? And the second is the ease of doing that transaction. How quickly and how easily you can do that transaction using that mobile phone without, so until and unless this transaction becomes simpler than taking out cash and paying, the change is not going to happen. Right? So when I watch some users in the Western countries, I see that they basically, after the bill has been created, they just flash their mobile phone. That's it. They don't even put in a pin, they don't put anything, right? They just touch and go, and the payment is done. So until and unless that level of convenience and technology comes into regular transaction in India, right? I don't think these same consumer will not be interested in using digital payments for the small payments that Mr. Ghosh has been highlighting, and it's very very valid. Because if I have to open my Paytm account, even if it's a great tool, and if or I have to open my UPI account, and if I have to key in the amount, and then I have to key in the person's mobile number, and then press enter or scan a QR code, it's more friction compared to taking out a 50 rupee note and paying it out, right? So until and unless we make it simpler than that, and obviously the onus is a lot on technologists as well as bankers and merchants, everyone, to lift it up. So for example, when we are talking about this vegetable seller, right? So vegetable seller also need to have the mechanism to take that payment. It's not only about me having that capability to make that payment using touch and go. So they must also have a panel in which I can just touch my mobile and say, payments are done, and I can just move out. So I think it's an overall infrastructure upgrade. That is what we are looking at. And once that is done, I think we'll be in a great position, because at the end of the day, human motivation will only come when it is convenient to him. Right? It will not come until unless it's extremely convenient to him, and people look at each and every point of friction unconsciously. It is not that you have to tell them that, okay, this is easy or this is difficult. They all know what is easy and what is difficult. Humans are very adaptable. They are very resilient people, right? They are very resilient species, I would say. So they know what to do. So we don't need to tell them. If you make it simpler, they will use it. It's as simple as that. I mean, I'm seeing it around the world when people use it, right? They are using it, right? Apart from banking, if you see, a lot of people are not going to open bank accounts. They are very happy with their Paytm accounts or their payments bank accounts nowadays, right? Or a lot of time people will not even go to bank for loans, because if Bandhan Bank is offering them loans right at their doorstep, why will they go to and walk into a bank branch to take a loan if they are getting microcredit on their doorstep? So the convenience is understandable by people, and people go for convenience.
The digital transformation is all about making the whole system frictionless.
Absolutely.
But what you are saying is there are still frictions left in the system.
Major friction.
So I will again go back to Chandra Sekhar and ask him. I mean, there are three sides of it. One is there has to be, the bankers will have to have the technology domain knowledge. From the technology company's point of view, they need to have banking domain. And we need to create awareness among the consumers or the larger section of the society. Uh, is Bandhan Bank or the banking industry in general doing anything about it in terms of training of the manpower, creating awareness among the consumers about the technology adoption and stuff like that?
No, what's happened is that is, of course, it is a needed on that. So Bandhan Bank, we are have that with the society, one of the group, and they are working on that. That is suggested, and they are doing as called the financial literacy. They already give to this 4.5 lakhs people who are not having account, and we are educate them each week, and we are hand holding given to them how they can open the account, how they can write the that is in withdrawal slip and deposit slip. In this way, we haven't done it. This is in one side isn't okay, but it is not in a one-time job. It is in continuously. Will be like to do it, but who will do it? Who will be the invest the money? That is a big challenge on that. I hope that the government have need to set up a one institution and set up a one institution who only can be educate the people about this, the digital open account, digital now mechanism is a safer. This way it can be like on that. When the create the environment is a positive, and people automatically convert themselves to do it on that. So till now, environment is not yet ready. No, if you go to this, it's a very correct on that. If you go, I one day and the travel to in Durgapur, and when I going on that, I've been entered to the Bardhaman city, and after come out from my branch within the city, there is a petrol pump. I have been taken the petrol to my card, and I offer my card, credit card. And that person is surprised and watching my face. And I said that why you are looking me? Well, card, yes. I'm like to pay this. I have not any option to receive the payment by card. And I have not that much cash. I return back to my branch and withdrew the money from my account and then paid to him. How paid? And he cannot believe me. He cannot leave me. And he has given the one person with me. And I said that requested him, I have not carried that much cash. Can you give your one of the person? And he requested one person. He also not interested to go. And he came with me. Anyhow, he requested and he came with me. And I have been withdraw the money and given to him his hand and given 50 rupees to this person because he is a kind enough to come with me. This is our environment only. How you expect on that Bardhaman city, heart of that, is not in a side of the city. And he directly declared, no, I have not any option on that. So we need in that environment clear. Why not India? Is it in the police case? It is in like to do something or the inquiry, some person on that. So it's a need to build up this type of environment. Otherwise, if people have the fear to, after that, I have not, without cash, I cannot really go to the any of the travel because I do not know where it will be refused. So in that sense, I say that it is a need to create the environment by the government. And I can be only like to provide the service. I cannot educate the people. I have not. I feel that is why I will spend the money for that. No. In that sense, it's a need to India is a big country. Opportunities is huge. So if the government also can be like to help on that to create the environment in the city, yes, it can be like to grow huge.
Abhishek, my next question will be slightly digressing. I mean, is digital transformation also happening in areas of core banking? I mean,
Mhm.
this online transaction, card payment, digital wallet, these are on one aspect. The other side is getting into core banking and making things easier, as Mr. Ghosh has been repeatedly mentioning. That
Right.
the ultimate idea is to make things easier and simpler for the common people.
Right. So, see, startups, there are a lot of startups which are there in the field of how to make transactions simpler and better and faster. But as we all understand, right, we still don't have the finesse where the money can lie anywhere. So, the way I visualize a sophisticated payments environment is that the money can be in my wallet, in my bank, in my credit card, doesn't matter. All should be connected to my mobile phone. And when I do a transaction, I just need to touch my mobile phone with the particular receiving device, which is at the merchant's end, and the money should get transferred. It's not rocket science. It's just that it's still not there. It needs to gradually come and it needs to become omnipresent. It needs to be with everybody. Again, it cannot be just that it is with 5 people and it is not with 50 other people. Because if it is only with 5 people, then rightly as Mr. Ghosh said with his experience, like now he's a little worried that whenever he has to travel out of the city, he will have to carry cash because he's not sure if the other next petrol pump will accept cash or not. And I think this unreliability of the payment processing is a bigger concern than anything else for a consumer. And that is also something which is continuously lingering at the back of his mind, that for his own safety, because if I am not able to pay using that payment processing methodology anywhere, then I am stuck. And I am also looking bad in front of the people if I am along with few people. So I think that definitely needs to be sorted. And I think there will be interesting solutions. So the way I look at this whole ecosystem of banking and technology, I have a very typical view of this. So I see there are four components to it. The component number one are the traditional banks, like the large banks which are already being run, which are regulated, extensively regulated. And what I feel is that they will eventually become the platforms to provide the transactions, compliances, being the data hubs and microservices. They will become the platforms, huge platforms, right? Second are the tech companies, like obviously Infosys, Indus Net, a lot of other companies like this. They are there to provide technology to create competitive advantage for these banks and financial service organizations. Now the interesting thing starts. The third category of companies that I see in this ecosystem are the large tech companies like Google, Facebook, Amazon,
Madan, right.
because they have huge consumer base. They have huge database. They understand and know a lot about you. They already might have your payment details. They already might have your card on their records, right?
Right.
And already know your identity, which is the most important thing. So think about it. When I am trying to give money to a vegetable seller, the amount of money I have to type in is just 2 or 3 digits. But the longer amount that I have to type is actually the phone number of the fruit seller, or I have to scan. That is taking more time. So organizations which owns your identity and understand who you are, they will be at the forefront of solving this problem in a much better way. So I would expect organizations like Google, Facebook, or Amazon to solve it much before the banks will solve it for India. That is my perception. But also, these organizations are going to be huge challenge and competition for the traditional banks. Even with all the technical muscle and all the current customer base, I think they will be challenged by these organizations because of the reach that these organizations have already got, the technology muscle that they have, and the data and the understanding about the users that they have. Mr. Ghosh talked about AI some time back. So banks and other financial institutions are still working to create AI. These organizations already know a lot about you and they can predict what would you like. When you scroll through Facebook, they know what you like and they keep throwing that data to you so that you keep scrolling for hours for no reason and you waste your time. Right? So I think this is the third category of organizations. And the fourth category of organizations are the fintechs. Now, the fintech will not have any loyalty towards these large banks or these platforms. They will connect with any of them, whoever gives them a better deal, and they will consume their microservices. They will consume at their platforms. They will take benefit of the platform and structure that these traditional organizations bring on the on the table, and they will create innovative long tail products. So if I have to create a product for the farmers, or if I have to create a very specific product for the people who are near Sundarbans, right? By knowing their exact challenge and exact problem, but how many of these products can banks create? Banks has got their bandwidth limitations also, right? And they have a lot of other problems to solve. So fintechs will come and solve this. So I think these four organizations, banks, the tech companies who work for the financial service companies, these large 3 or 4 organizations in the world which has all the data, and fourth are these fintechs and insurtech companies. I think these four will be interplaying with each other, create innovative solutions and services, and they will kind of create this whole ecosystem that the way we will visualize in future. And some of them will come together to also solve this big problem. But I also agree with Mr. Ghosh's comment that we can all bring technology and platform, but we cannot necessarily bring education at that scale that we need to bring. The government definitely need to create a body which can spend a budget to educate people about the digital usage and how the digital tools should be used and why it is more important to use those tools and how they should use it. My only concern that lies here is that with the increase of cybercrime, right? If any of these new users they get defrauded once, right? It will put a fear in their head and their heart that here my money is not safe, and that I think is a much bigger constraint in the success of this seamless payment, space that we are talking about than anything else. I mean, all these things will be solved today or tomorrow. It's a matter of time. But once it is solved, how do we ensure that this person continues to feel that this digital payment is a safe payment? The money in the bank is safe. The money in his Paytm wallet or UPI or wherever he's keeping his money is safe. I don't think government is doing enough on that front. I think that is another big area that government should work upon to strengthen the overall cybersecurity framework for banks and all the financial institutions by taking their proactive steps from their side rather than just leaving it on banks and financial institutions.
As you rightly pointed out, I mean, banking is often used as a verb also. When we say that I am banking heavily on you, that does not only mean banking in just in terms of financial transactions, but it involves faith, trust, reliability. So banking is all about faith, trust, reliability. So that leads to the next question to Chandrasekhar. As you know that this digital speed or convenience, simplicity, I mean, would it replace the human interface completely, or we need to look at some kind of a hybrid model?
There is a so that I have been mentioned one upon a time on that. This is a people till now is not ready fully. No, digital. That is an high touch model is the best way to provide the people's service on that. But gradually, of course, the peoples will be transformed themselves from high touch to the high tech. Now it is needed on that to mixed of that. If the customer point, other point I will say that if the bankers are not to know the customer, they cannot lend. They can open the account, they can take the deposit, customer can transact on that. But the lending, they must be see the customer and physically verified on that. So that is also need in a relationship with the customer and the bankers because of the trust. Trust is the both the side. When you say that the bank is a trust, means people will deposit the money because of trust. And because of seeing the bank, the physical, till now is in our country, if the people are not seeing the physical infrastructure of bank branch, they are very much scared about it. Can I deposit money? So if I see that any problem, where I can go? Can I go to digitally and then I can be a call and they say that the okay, if you like to say English, you can push on one. If it is in Bengali, it is in two, and then coming on the next. So if you like to account opening this and then the whole is complex on that. So that complex situation, people will not like it. So people feel that, okay, branch is here. If I feel any problem, I will be entered to the branch, I catch the manager, where is my money? I can do it. So their confidence is more in a physical infrastructure compared to the digital till now in our country on that. Because education level, we cannot be compared with our education of the citizen with America the same in the all of the people on that. So need on that level understanding also, education, that awareness, conscious about that system process. No, so if you see that the cyber security also attacked on that, or sometimes if you see that the many of the case happen, the transaction happened in the account and the money has been passed on from the customer's account to the that is in some person have been theft on that. No, and asking the customer on that, have you shared your password? Yes. I say, why you are shared the password? Why you shared the OTP? Yes, 5 transaction done, 5 times given the OTP to the unknown person. So that is also the issue. If you say that other issue, the people are more trust on the people of the bankers. Sometimes they are said about it that those are the bankers, they are more trusted. This is correct, no doubt on that. But I am trust them, but I cannot be open everything in front of them. I can be also like to look something on that. Yes, bank has called me. I know the banker is very good. Maybe he has come to the new member. So asking my OTP, I given on that. Asking my PIN, I have been given on that. And that is also how you can be long time taken on to educate of these people. And that the bankers also give the comfort, get the comfort to provide this type of digital services more and organize the customer. Yes, you can do it in this way, that way. No, so that is an other side also. It's the need of that the big contribution by the government to create this environment, not the one side only educate, only pressure the bank. No, both the side they can do it on this, and it's a big opportunities of our country. If it is done on that, the transaction happened is more in this way, that will be helped more on that to country economy will be grow. When it will be happen more, economy of course is economy will be grow more. So that is my point.
Abhishek pointed out, in fact, 4 layers: large companies, large banks, large technology companies, companies who already have data and facts and figures about potential customer base. Uh, so I was just wondering, where does startup feature in this whole scheme of things? Can banks also involve startup in terms of involving them in developing some system? Because most of the financial frauds, they stem from digital transactions. So is there a way to counter that using some startups who are, some of them are doing brilliant works in terms of digital innovations and development?
You want me to answer that, Mr. Ghosh?
Answer to whom?
Yes, Chandrasekhar Dayu,
Okay.
you start.
No, fine. The startup is no doubt it is a very good on that. But again, I am talking about it. The customer they put it their money to the bank on the trust. And the bank also given the credit to the person or entity, the trust. So startup trust is little bit low compared to the established organization. This is a normal. So until the bank will not get the comfort, bank is a middleman. Taken money from you as a deposit, and you are given the trust money, and the bank are given to the money to others and earn the money and return back to you with some of the benefit. So in that sense, bank is a middleman. Bank always try on that how my savers money will be kept as a very secured on that. For that reason, when they are lending, very much cautious about it. They are very much thinking on that the startup. What is the background? No, how the business model, how the market is there. If they test, they may be lost. So that loss they can take or they will be passed on to me. So why the bank I have been going to take that risk? So that is the dilemma in here. For that reason, sometimes they are not very much interested go to the startup, and sometimes they are getting the comfort and given on that. So this is in position of the banking scenario as a lending.
Abhishek, you were an entrepreneur yourself and you also help startups grow also. What would be your take on this? Do you think that if these startups help properly at their nations, they can eventually grow and they can be a big customer of the same bank itself at some point of time?
So
What
yeah,
would be?
so again, I think banks have their own concern in terms of lending to startups, and which is very relevant because see startups in general, the thinking process. So startups can be again can classify in two ways. One, who are trying to grow in a gradual, normal way with a strong fundamental business premise. Right? The second one, which are doing very very lofty ideas and experiments, where the probability of success is maybe 5 to 10%. I don't think a bank would like to lend to them because a bank will need to make sure that they have got money which they can return to their other investors or who have put the money with the confidence that the bank is going to pay them back. But obviously, companies which has got stronger base, I think banks anyways lend to them. So for startups, there is a complete separate segment of people who put money into startups, which are venture capitalists, which are angel investors, and so on and so forth. I think when you talk about financial services, startups can play a very important role in creating the fintech companies, right? Which can actually connect with the bank, and therefore bank have to start operating as a platform and make more and more startups come and create new products on top of their platform, on top of their infrastructure. And that is where I think banks can excel because banks cannot create all the products. They cannot go into every segment of the industry and every segment of the market. It's impossible for them. Right? But they can look at interesting ideas, look at the experience of the person who is doing that particular startup. Now, one thing is very specific in terms of financial startups is that it needs background experience. I have seen lots of fintech startups or insurtech startups which are just started by people who understand tech, but they don't understand insurance or finance. Those companies cannot work because this is an area where you need to understand how to manage risk and how to understand risk.
That
And
domain knowledge needs to be there.
extremely critical in this business. And therefore, those companies, in my opinion, are not the right companies to even partner with for a bank or insurance company. There are a lot of veteran bankers and insurers who go out and create a fintech or insurtech startup. They want a back-end platform to take care of the compliances, to take care of their underwriting, to take care of their risk management at the back end. Those are the places where banks can come after validating what model they are following. So I have seen lending startups who are lending left and right without any thinking process just because they have seen that Mr. Ghosh has been successful in lending to fruit seller and getting the money back. They think that if they online lend to anybody, the money will come back. It doesn't happen that way. We have read his history and we know what is the model Mr. Ghosh has created to get that money back. We know that hard work that has gone into creating that system. Like, and the startup thinks that they will lend money on a mobile app and it will come back all the time. It is not easy, and the legal process in our country, how difficult it is to get that money back. So I think you have to also, do very strong due diligence when you are investing or you are becoming the back end of any of these startups. Otherwise, you might end up losing a big amount of money.
Said, can we take some questions?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Hello?
So, yeah.
Yeah,
Can you hear me? Yeah, we
yeah,
can.
yeah.
So I'll just read out a couple of questions which we have, and then if required, we can get the person.
Yeah, just we can have maybe 3, 4 questions.
Yeah, the first question which has come right now is to Mr. Ghosh, and it's from Somak. He asks, "Do you see the ATM functionalities merging with a branch, or it will become slowly irrelevant?" That's a question from Mr. Somak Shom.
No, if you see that the ATM is not in a digital transaction. It is in 24 into 7 hours provide the cash service to the customer. So when the digital transaction will become more and people will be more habituated, I hope that the ATM will be not needed on that. And so that if you see that in the day by day, the ATM number is coming down.
Right. Okay. The next question to you, Mr. Ghosh, is like you said that the startup needs to build trust to enable any service to your customers. But let's say one startup is willing to build a technology to help your internal process. For example, digitizing the process of lawyers' opinion for home loans brings a lot of transparency at the center level. How do you think how these startups will do in future?
No, it is not the startup. I can money given on that, and then he will be give the software to me to use. And if a bank feel that I am not needed on this software, then my money will not return back. So this is not the way any business or startup can be stand up. Startup will be like to build up the model or whatever the technology software they can make it. It will be some segment is there. If it's the banking industry, any bank can be like to use on that. If it isn't usable for bank and bank can use, the Bandhan Bank also can be part of that. But not only Bandhan Bank point of view, they can provide it on that. So then it will be not a very good enterprise. Any enterprise, their product should be in large number of people can be used on that. If it is a particular one, the people can be used on that, they build up it, then that organization will be build up their software team and they can be make for them. So in that sense, I'm not suggesting anyone to start in this type of enterprise, which is only for one organization. No one you can get agree to take this type of service.
There has to be a scalability. That's what you
That
mean.
will be scalability. That will be multiple bank can be used. Then it will become.
Okay. One of the questions which has come is respect to the lending. So the question says that post-COVID, many lending institutions, especially microfinance, have limited their lending capacity, and even portals, online portals like Flipkart and Amazon, have reduced their pay later limits only to certain customers. Now, this has a little bit become disappointing for some of the customers. Do you think banks will come forward and actually start ensuring that lending becomes a norm even after COVID, though the chances of default are higher?
If you see that there is a very much a dilemma, the two side is a challenge for banker. When we are giving the loan to the microcredit, this is in one side say that, oh, you are over lending. Other side say that, oh, you are not lending. So both the side will be like to balance on that. No. So in the time of COVID, we are lending.
Okay.
But we'll be like to very careful lending. People should not take it as a burden.
Mm-hmm.
No. And I see that there is a very good people in the bottom of the pyramid, whatever we say that, they are very cautious. If they have not in a capacity to repay, they will not take it. Very exceptional case, there's some money they have been used for given the dowry for the daughter's marriage, or some of the old moneylenders' money repay was a high interest. That time, so they are little bit a challenge on that. Otherwise, all the people in the bottom of the pyramid who are targeting to the microcredit, they are very good repayer. And if they have not need the money, they will not take it. So we are the bank, we have started lending, and very good lending have been going on that, continuing on that. And it has been started in a June 1 on that, but very careful on that.
Okay. One question I think goes to Abhishek. The question is about emerging technologies in the microfinance space. This is primarily a high-touch model, and do you think fintechs will walk in and actually disrupt this space? What's your thought on that?
I think it's more than me. I think Mr. Ghosh will know this better. He runs the largest microfinance business in the country. I think microfinance recovery is a challenge, and I think most of the startups have worked in the lending space, but very few have worked in the recovery space. And until and unless you sort out the recovery side, right? When you lend, low touch model is okay to lend, but low touch model is not okay to recover. It's very difficult to recover with a low touch model. Tell me what 10 scenarios where you find people are ready to come back and say, you please take my money back. Right? It's very difficult. So I think that is the biggest challenge in terms of the lending business, that recovery is very difficult. So I came across a very interesting startup recently, which created a model which basically, finds out and tells you that who are the people whom you should approach when the person shuts down his mobile phone after taking the money, right? So you can basically call those people up and request that, you please request him to pay. So for example, if a young guy has taken money and is not responding, so possibly based on data and analytics, that you should call his dad, not her wife or not her mom, but his dad. And his dad would actually kind of put some sense in him that, if you have taken money from the bank, please go and repay that. So those kind of analytics are being done. A lot of times it is about the neighbor and so on and so forth. So you need to understand whom to approach. So this is only one of those startups that I have seen which is working on the recovery space. Otherwise, those are softwares that are used by the recovery agents. Those are softwares that are used by the companies to manage risk. But where is the recovery? So I think microfinance, if the recovery becomes very expensive, because you are giving the finance with the expectation that it's a low touch business, so your cost of lending and recovering is low, but at the end of the day, to recover, if it costs you a lot more money, then you are a non-viable business and you are out of the game. So that is my view on this. Mr. Ghosh may extend the view. I think Mr. Ghosh is much better than me on this front.
Abhishek, you are correct on that. And the other point which I mentioned earlier also, their model is a microcredit, is a cash business.
Yes.
Our customers are cash business with their consumer. So for that reason, anyhow, they have need to deposit the money in their account. So they are asking me, if I say that when I first got the bank license and I go to the village, and the people, I have been asking to my borrower that have you any question to me? And she asked one lady, I have the one question, you have got the bank license, we are feel proud about it on that. So now we have need to repay the installment and need to go to your branch. I was like, what is the wrong? Well, no. I have need in every day in a 15-20 rupees the one-way travel cost and time. So I have been lost the money in my business. It is better if you collect from the same way from my village. So if you see that what is the demand of this type of customer? So now if you see that now coming on that, there is a bigger amount of the loan. These people have the 1 lakh or 1,50,000. These people asking on that, can I go to now monthly and I will be paid to your branch? So now they are gradually improving on that. But if you see that the beginning of that, the sum of the 2 years, 4 years or 5 years, they have need to educate on that way, because it's the small size of the installment, maybe the 200 rupees, and coming to deposit in the office or bank account, they have a need on that the 15 rupees or 30 rupees is the travel cost. So this is a high cost for them also. So that region, it is not feasible in that sense, but gradually when they are coming as a bigger enterprise, so they are automatically coming to purchase some of goods from the market. So they are in that time going to branch and given the installment in their account, and we are deducted from the account. So that is the way it is happening. But beginning is very tough to do it.
Okay. One question
I
which is
can put a small supplement to what Abhishek has
yeah,
said. It's a very simple question. Why is it that when there was not so much of technology adoption, digital transformation, when we were into the microfinance space, the rate of recovery was very high, as high as 99.99% possible. But now in banking sector, the NPA rate is very high. When there is so much of technology adoption, digital transformation, and blah blah blah, so on and so forth. Why is it that? Why is this paradox?
That is the one point I mentioned also on that. There is when it is a bank loan, it is a reverse of the microcredit loan. Why reverse? Microcredit loan, first we are not spend more time with the customer. Within a week, we give the loan. And after disburse the loan, every week we are knocked and going to the house and see that the business, everything is there. But the banking industry, if you see that, the before the loan, 50 times they are visited the house and everything, business place, person. After that, and until he is not in a defaulter, no one going to him. So that is maybe the one sense I find out on that. The repayment rate is better in a microcredit, 99% compared to the bank. If you touch with the customer and see that how money is utilized in the properly, and you are like to know or see their what how their family is maintaining on that, and build up a good relation, automatically any people in front of you cannot deny, no, I cannot give now. They are also a little bit shy about it on that. How I say no? No, because every day, every week we are meeting up, and he has been helping me in a good way. So that is also have been worked on that when the touch, high touch.
There's one question which has come from Mr. Kumar Roy. He asked about digital channels are being used for their financial needs, and their openness to digital channels is rewarding those banks that can meet these customer expectations. But it also represents a challenge to the incumbent banks. Now that the customers are willing to move to a digital only bank, how do you think the incumbent banks will try to shape their response to this?
Abhishek, you are the expert of.
Yes, sir. So I think incumbent banks again, eventually every bank will become a digital bank because digital is just a channel, right? I think we have to come out of this hype cycle. In fact, some of these large consulting firms specifically say their reports as hype cycle, which is very funny. I think you need to come out of this whole thought of process of hype cycle because hype cycle is there for a period of time and then it goes away, right? We have to focus on what is the reality and which is going to stay in the long term, right? So every bank will be a digital bank ultimately, right? It is just a matter of time. Someone will say I am only digital. Someone will say okay, I am only digital plus I have got physical. Someone will say okay, I am only a mobile bank. So tomorrow you might hear that I am only a mobile bank, and after a few days you might hear a company which will say I am only a social bank. Maybe Facebook will come and say we are only a social bank, right? So these things at the end of the day, see, these are just channels of their banking, right? And eventually, if a particular channel is useful and beneficial, every other bank and organization which wants to survive will adapt to it. If they don't want to survive, they will not adapt to it, and there is nothing to do about it, right? So I think we should kind of leave this hypes aside. And yes, obviously, anything that is working out, I think incumbent banks, whom we call incumbent banks, they can be the superstar banks of tomorrow if they can adapt it properly and they can run with that and they can perform better using the same technologies. And these technologies are nowadays available very, very easily, and there is no rocket science involved in most of them.
Correct.
I think the follow-up questions tries to answer what Abhishek said, and it was for Abhishek only, talking about the unbanked population in rural areas. Do you think the digital penetration will increase? I think when he's answered that as the future banks are only digital-only banks, so we'll have that penetration increasing. So that's Saptrashi, your answer gets in the last answer which Abhishek gave. Okay.
After hearing both of you, Mr. Ghosh and Abhishek, I think at the end of it, we have come almost at the end of the discussion, a very lively and vibrant discussion. I think, I mean, low touch or high touch, whatever you may call it, at the end of the day, I would describe Mr. Ghosh's wife more visionary than Mr. Ghosh is, because she came up with the name Bandhan, which means bonding. So at the end of the day, it's bonding that matters. I remember even during the time of lockdown when people were talking about social distancing, staying at home, Bandhan Bank and other banks. In fact, I was quite happy that Bandhan Bank was sending messages like, some personal messages using the digital platform through WhatsApp and Facebook messages and otherwise. How are you? Hope you are fine. Hope everybody in your family is staying safe. And then the crucial message, which is from the banking sector. So even if you adapt technology and transform yourself into a digitally transformed bank, so those personal bonding and human touches would be required. I mean, whichever way and wherever you go. So
Ritwik,
on that, yeah,
I agree on that. If you see that very big example in today, we are everyone have been locked down in the home, and you see that the mobile is working, internet working, everything working. But when it is a decided lockdown open, even not decided also, the people are come out from the home and police are beaten to the people for their safe to inside go to inside. This is means the how high touch people also like.
right,
Otherwise, they will not come out from the home.
true,
Everything is open. No,
true, very true,
the
very true.
very thing is there.
Very, very true and practical, sir.
So let's end on that spirited and that positive note. As we move along, we need to adapt technology, but we shouldn't refrain ourselves from being human. That is
Yes.
very important also. Let's keep that human touch and human interface intact. Thank you very much once again. Thank you all our viewers for joining this evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ghosh. Thank you, Ritika. Thank you, Sunil.
Thank you, Abhishek.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Ritika. Thank you, all of you on that.
Hope we will have many more such sessions.